off date, which means stuff that is right.
We have a little more research.
There's the man, John.
Everybody's here. Pardon?
So that's just started talking about all the old building.
Awesome. Cool. All right. So everybody is their bearing. South Street, closed landfill, west landfill that we worked on. As far as the clearing, there's material to be pulled out, material to be added. This is certain things in the project. So we can cover what we got, what we had. Primarily down on the bottom of the slopes. Through here, I think. Here. So Fraser, probably over to the north, of course, is what's the gates access? Gates access to clear part of the old landfill that based on that parcel. 40 over here, really bad 40. Based on my discussions, I think 40 piece. So he owns the next piece up. And we talked about a significant easement for purchasing the property from him. Based on the location of the Unlawful, which is a measure, we take a look at basically 135 feet of frontage, kind of square it up, and have it cover areas of waste on the town kind of and that equates to roughly 35,600 square feet. And all we did was keep this line parallel. I think it can be done with a lot line agreement because there's a line here that's on the down. And Fraser, I'll go out where we are and see if we can verify that. But just to know, now that will leave him with a lot here, with 74,000 square feet, about 280.
Still buildable, is that what you said?
Still buildable, it's in a rural lot, like 150 feet of frontage. You know, when we talked to him last year, he mentioned, yeah, I'm getting taxed on that lot as opposed to buildable lots. I don't know any research on that, talk to the assessor. I mean, like, right, gas, or there could be something in front of your why not 3,000? Going back a little bit in time, things may not be going in the same direction.
Okay, South Street's in here. This one's good.
Just further down the street. No, that's what I thought too.
Now,
This is the Zub property. South Street's over here, Fraser land that remained. They cut out a 200-foot parcel by all the way to the back.
so this is the what we did versus the next one.
Yes. And then the town land is further down. So trying to recreate stuff, it seems like Fraser had since here, goes back, came along the front, they split this lot out, you have pieces on either side. I think maybe that's the two parcels. I think somebody's worth looking into, only because he's gonna say, I mean, the tax run, he did say, the tax run, that's 25, 30 years, and they go into how he wants to deal with the town. This is our, so, one here that's heat together. That's how it's working. Landfill, west landfill along the road. This is from the assessor on town GIS. Yeah, line, no line separating sub Fraser from sub from Fraser. Just didn't make it on. But the far Fraser piece is this one. So his house is here, his house is here. That's showing 430 feet. Some of the deeds say plus or minus. Some of the dimensions going back are the same line as a foot different on one map as from another map. I don't think that the town necessarily needs to resolve all those as part of this. There's probably some out there that's going to happen. I think the cleanest way is if you can confirm what you do with a lot line. And we just say, we want to go 10 or 15 feet past that. Well, I would say 15 to 20 feet past. So we have a reason for maintenance in the future on drainage.
Yeah.
So the other interesting
Put a
thing
marker
is,
here so you know where we are.
yes, the other, and one back here. The other interesting about the substance is that split that was done, which is just a sheet one, it's not really very fancy.
Yeah.
Shows the drainage easement coming here. I didn't see anything that showed this drainage easement coming out here.
I'm not, and then after talking to him, I wasn't convinced they actually had a legal one, that was a verbal convention or something.
So this would help to resolve that too.
I would think, so it felt.
Because earlier, like in the spring of last year, you could say, oh yeah, there's an easement on this piece, but looking through Worcester County land records, at least online, there
Was it,
wasn't
it was down here?
evidence of easements.
Yeah. Right.
It would be,
Yeah, it's soft, it's
so, but this also seems strange to me because of where their house is. It's like in their driveway.
Yeah. Would be the first survey mistake.
But yeah, we really need to get, I mean, you
Alright,
can do it with
so-
an easement, but I think it's better
Back onto
if
this,
you can get the fee ownership of that.
and I sort of, like,
Roughly 3/4 of an acre.
your thoughts?
I don't know just yet.
I'll put it to you this way. You have about, I don't know, 15 minutes to come up with some thoughts. You need to make a decision today. Yes.
Yeah, just get notice, October 2nd, and then the articles.
So,
Do you have to have, do you have to basically agree with it?
no, and then you come up with an article to say we're looking to,
That's October 2nd.
Oh, okay.
I just got the email today, half hour ago. November 2nd, yeah.
You understand what we're looking for?
If we need to get access to that piece of land, like,
We have access, well, he's given us access. This is, there's trash that is like filled in. So, I highly suggest it shows by the state that we have ownership. It's we have guaranteed access forever and forever. In case regulations change, or the orders do something. So,
You want like 200 feet to do that?
that's like 175 plus or minus. About 35,600 square feet plus or minus. This here, that's all buried trash, or unburied trash, it can be a part of this.
This line makes it clean, you go back and fix this new property line.
No,
I
we
don't
don't
know why
know.
you would want to, but you can come back over.
We don't have, we're in the mode of having to approach Mr. Frazier to discuss this. A little further. So that's the point we're at right now. So we can start working on this.
We don't even know if he's willing to sell it.
Sort of. I mean, I think he sort of is, but based on, you know, what costs and whatnot. So I don't know if the town's going to. Offer, no idea what the financial situation is.
But there's nothing on that piece that we're interested in, that he's got, like a shed or garage, right?
We're just interested in the trash. It's the good stuff, honestly. Which we technically are, we created, we put there.
So changes in the trash.
No, we're just taking a shovel and ground, start doing that, you're not going to that cost. So they're asking us to, DEP's asking us to finish this project, which is the covering of the trash and grading and removing some of the surface trash. So we're going to Frazier to take ownership of the idea right for that, and then we can finish up our commercial projects hopefully this spring.
Okay.
Makes sense?
That's the only option we got now.
So I sort of need authorization, or you can just say that you're interested in putting our board into negotiations for this. They can discuss it. You're good with that? That's good. If you're not, then
He's got nothing there?
nothing as far as what?
Not as far as garages?
No, there's nothing here all the way down here. This is all the way up here.
Let's give it a shot. Absolutely, let's go for it. Motion, motion. Purchase that land.
Allow me to get the discussions with purchase land. Allow me to get a discussion.
To allow you to get into a discussion to purchase that land.
Thank you. Motion made, seconded. Any discussion on your side? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Abstain. One abstention. Okay. This is all in my court.
I have smaller versions of this, if you'd rather, or you can have this one.
Take this one and go with that and see what it says from there. Probably didn't want to keep that and look at it. Discuss it or not, which is perfectly fine.
Right.
I'll take some smaller versions out and do that. And obviously, that's important. So that puts us in the right place on that. What about the rest of the work? What's on here?
This is our map from the first round of work where we had to area cleared. Really what we're doing is planning on putting together a package, identifying some areas along here where we know they have to remove the dirt. The worst of it is down here, but you've got the washing machine area, you got the fire area. I'll talk to the guy who came and did it. Get a deal for what he bought. They go and put the package together. I'm not, as I said before, in favor of, you can't put down what's all the materials out, you can't basically put down all the materials on 3 months left, which is the state.
Right.
Because we'll be in the wetlands, or having to cut back, or we're not going to cut back. So, it's just gonna be a matter of trying to get 20 inches of cover on top, topsoil, get some grass around. I noticed, I did a quick drive-by, I'm planning on driving, walking through the area a little more after the meeting. It's been growing up since it's got down, so it's got all the brushy stuff. Once this work is done, I think I had that brush and stuff, just grass and ground spot, much like my yard.
All right, this is a loaded question.
No, I have.
Ballpark?
I'll estimate something right
All right, so that's what we usually go to town meeting with. Anyone out with 40 grand, pretty much got most of that market share.
What did, was it Dan and Charlie, just Charlie? What did they have to say about that part of the house?
Stuff we're talking about, it's all up together.
I thought that they were gonna talk about
Yeah, me
this
too.
part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is odd, because that's what they said in the email, they want to talk about is this, so.
When I had talked to Charlie a couple weeks before that, he said, yeah, that came out looking pretty good, I was surprised. But, stuff's gotta be removed and recovered as much as possible. You can't have disposed waste out there.
Well, yeah, I know that's coming. So we can figure these figures together.
I've gotten a few calls from people about looking at the work out here. As far as references, it's weird because I think I've got 3 or 4 calls. They've all been, he's worked with before, so I didn't like them. I think I'm all over the references. Yeah, clear the jobs.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll give them a call. What do you think? Some of us can get all this stuff. This shit's gonna be
Access is a big issue, and how much we put out of there. Volumes, I think, probably the most time that question, what a survey will bring to, so the volume is probably a big thing to get in there. So many hours, like that, that's a lot of, I think a lot of people do that, down this way, it's up, so this down here, comes from about years.
right.
And then I'm done, because it's all boulders.
Yeah, and this is pretty tough, I think, to get down.
Yeah, I think on the way down, it's like down this way, to do stuff, this way.
That corner stuff.
Yep, it's all going. So, even, decent ballpark, it's good, this is fair.
Alright, so the first issue, confirm the lot line.
Yep, confirm that.
We're pretty sure of that. Second thing is volume cost estimate, we need something.
Yeah, so September, where are we, 21st now?
To at least get you
Due on the 2nd, so we need something by like
a week
27th,
from today.
28th, yeah.
To get us, at least get us into a place where we can submit our stuff for town meeting, article requests.
Okay.
You know, and we can discuss it with the select board from there.
And so do you need a motion to put it on an article?
No, right now we can get article requests together and put those together. If, you know, if we get this in, there still remains to be seen if you get us the information. If you don't get it to us, it's pretty much knocks that up.
Okay.
So, next, I know that Nate's got a few things to chat about, but Charlie talked about the fact that he's telling us you guys still aren't certified as a third-party inspector in the state.
Yeah, and he and I have talked about that, and
Okay.
I was somewhat frustrated with him because back in August, a couple of years ago, you had till like the end of August to submit your applications, which we both had submitted our applications. And then we never heard it. And when he first started asking about inspection reports, we thought he was talking about monitoring reports. So landfill inspections were done. And he said, just turn them in. Frankly, as I was looking at them, I said, I gotta confirm if they need waste bin inspections too. So I may call you about some numbers, because I'll just add it to it, dated today, but making sure that it's, we're not taking batteries. We're not taking hazardous waste. We're not, but I want to confirm, I think we may have to confirm the numbers that have been submitted by Solid Waste Solutions to the state too.
Okay.
I'll add that to that, but my intention is to get that done, before the end of the month, because I gotta have it done. It's making me nuts. And he said submit the application, which I'll resubmit it and we'll inspect next month for this year.
Okay.
The monitoring, it's done in September. We're scheduled to go out next week. Generally 2 guys one day, and another guy who come back for part of the day, do the gas readings and maybe the surface waters. So somebody will be out there next week.
All right. Mowing was done.
Was it?
Yeah, they got the mowing done. It
Oh.
was on Patrick's side.
Isn't that the whole thing?
He said the fence is the
Oh,
mowing
yeah.
company.
How about the like brush hogging or weed whacking, any brushy stuff in the swales?
It looked like it was done, but you
On
were
the
there.
inside, I went to the dump last week or so, and it looked like the solar people had weed whacked. Because right now, basically, everybody's in charge of weed whacking and mowing. Like the contracts that our responsibilities of the landfill and the solar's contract are the same for maintaining. They both just say landfill, so technically they are really responsible for everything too. So right now it's like.
So it should always be looking
Yeah, so like when we went up there.
They're not just within the fence, they're
I have the
landfill.
copy of the contract,
Yeah,
it does
it's just a-
say the entire landfill.
Yeah, and I know
It's very
the
specific.
operator one does too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that's kind of like, so everybody should, between them and us, we should decide who's actually doing what. When we were up there, the mowing inside was fine, but they hadn't weed whacked, so she was already on the phone calling them to say, you guys didn't do the entire job. But weed whacking everywhere was awful, but mowing was fine. But the big thing was that the current, Borrego, they really don't care, because they're gonna be selling to somebody else. who's gonna-
Energy is,
Energy.
it's already in the process.
So it almost made sense on our end to have a conversation with them, put all of the mowing and weed whacking on them, because then that's gonna transfer over to somebody else anyways. But it did look like since that meeting, they've come back on the inside of the fence and weed whacked and touched up, because on the outside along the fence, it's still overgrown. And then, and some of the swales along the access road is overgrown.
No, this is the state contract, not between the town and Brigham.
That's what I'm getting at.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so the state went and put something in there. Yeah.
Well, I guess the explanation from Dan and Charlie was that the state, like, they just like handed them a contract as a draft and then nobody like changed anything.
I tagged.
Not our,
yours.
not our fault. We already have
Yes.
contracts in place.
That's what I suspect happened.
Yeah,
So-
it's boilerplate language. that they
Is this
threw out
the
there.
April
I
19th,
tagged it.
16? No, that's not the contract. That's the contract, this is the permit over here.
Which one? The operating conditions and maintenance, this one?
No, that's the same thing.
This one?
Yep, the very first 35 of
Yeah, so this is from the state, and who's, it's not the, but it's not the one between the town and whatever it is. Right, this is what bothers me with Charlie opening his mouth and getting involved with stuff that he doesn't have control over.
Well, here's my concern.
Mhm.
This permit was issued. It was issued to the town. It allowed the post-closure use for solar power.
Mhm.
It has certain requirements, like these quarterly inspections, right? I didn't know about the quarterly, third-party independent inspections of the solar area for at least, can't remember if it's 1 year or 2 year, and then you can ask to get it cut back.
Mhm.
My understanding from talking to you guys is that everything in here was the solar company.
It's supposed to be taken care of by the solar company. That's what was negotiated on another board and another board. They asked for permission from us to use the site, which we granted. And after
Right.
that point, we were out of it.
So as far as who is doing those inspections or who's doing,
Well, NRG just emailed us, if you heard that. They wanna set up a plan to get those done. It sounds like they wanna do those third-party inspections for the solar site.
Perfect. Good.
Yes.
That's the way it should
It's on the
be.
agenda.
But as you read this is to Bill Scanlon, town planner. This isn't to the Board of Health, this isn't to the rest of the stuff. This is something that they went, and Bill frequently pulls down boilerplate language and just makes shit up. So, back to my feeling on what we had before, we have a contract that we vetted, we have pulled apart, put back together, looked at, reworked, I don't know, what, 4 times now? Found out what was working for us, found out what wasn't working for us, and then they've thrown together a boilerplate thing that basically just pulls apart the CMRs that the state has and threw it in there.
so what he mentioned to me on the phone, this was Charlie before that meeting, was about these inspections and then also about the drainage.
Yeah,
And
you know my feeling on that, because you and I were out there with him. What did he tell us when we went out there? And
he said, we're gonna make the solar company,
we being DE to the P, gonna make the solar company responsible. Board of Health does not have to worry about this. Please just permit it.
Drainage, like ponding on the top drainage?
ponding on the top of the old closed section where the solar was going.
So when we were up there, they were really happy with how the grade has been brought up in those areas.
Okay.
Like I think it was like 2 or 3 places that they were most concerned about seemed good. It had just rained and it wasn't wet up there. Everything was really dry. And
So they've done some work.
yeah, so they were happy with what they saw and they understood what had changed. They just had concern about making sure, because obviously everything's going to, shrink as time goes on, to make sure that it doesn't start ponding again and that they're not using heavy equipment on those specific areas. But they were happy with what they saw.
They
The only,
shouldn't
they
have
really,
any heavy equipment up there
Right.
anymore again, right?
yeah.
Correct.
Does anybody,
Mower.
And it
does
was
anybody know how it's working? Has anybody gotten any feedback?
Is it even on yet?
We don't even know if, I have no idea.
That gets,
Yeah.
the final stuff gets done in a different
So,
department, so.
it was
I'm
just
sure.
wondering-
It might have been good or not
Maybe
good
I'll-
that you went, Nate, because through all that stuff, this was given through us that DEP would be taking care of all these monitoring and the enforcement of the regulations inside that fence line.
Well, and this is how I think they did it through this permit. They said, you're gonna fix the grading, you're responsible for proper grading to bring it back to the original before you put the solar in. Because there were some spots that were low
Yeah,
and couldn't make it to the downshift, you know? And that's just from settlement over 20 plus years. So yeah, that's what they seem uptight about.
Isn't that just going to be a natural occurrence though? Like you say, the settling? Oh, so there's going to be,
it's not that, that's not what's in contention, it's who's regulating, who's overseeing the fixing and the cleaning up of.
So it's gonna continue to settle, but you're gonna get most of your settlement in the first 10 or 15 years. And then now, you know, they were up there with construction equipment, so
And we had.
they probably added some additional settling that hasn't happened in a while.
What year are we at now?
On that section, I think parts of it were closed in the 80s.
Yeah, well, we'll pass the first settling portion. But we added we had the construction equipment and all the solar panels with their bases. So. What else did he come up with? Did he have anything else on his side?
I mean, really, for the most part, they were happy with everything up there. It was the, continuing mowing and the weedings, the weed whacking is not happening properly, the overlapping of the contracts. They brought up the overlapping of the testing, that, Solar and us are both responsible for quarterly testing. So why are we both doing it? And
Those inspections,
Yeah, the inspections and.
you're actually only responsible for annual.
We have an annual.
Annual, so they're responsible for quarterly right
Yeah.
now, so at one point you're gonna overlap. So he brought up how some other towns they have an agreement about, just one party's doing it and the other party pays back a portion or something. And then really, I mean, yeah, and that's kind of what I assume, anything we can put onto the solar people, they seem very, whatever you want us to do, we just need to talk about it. They had no, at the
And we're,
meeting anyways.
and we're, yeah, at the meeting, and that's NRG currently.
Right.
And if it stays NRG, right?
Well, Borrego.
Oh, it's Borrego there, but it's going to NRG, yes?
Right.
So it has to be a transferable document that is
But
agreed.
that's what I'm getting at, and why we've taken over certain parts of it over the years. Because for a while, the actual operator was taking care of the monitoring and the inspections, which failed miserably. Because he stopped paying people to do it. So that's why we've taken it on. We know it gets done, we know we have a company that's accountable for it, and we have a direct relation at that point to get it done. And my question is, what are we gonna save by picking up one inspection?
Right. So it almost made more, just from talking up there with everybody, I feel like the monitoring is the most important piece, making sure it gets done, and we would oversee that, in my opinion. And push off the mowing and everything to them, because they seem completely okay with it. It made more sense to them that they would be doing it all.
Yeah, one person there.
Right, and
It's all done at
they
the
have a
same
national
time.
company that they just use for all their projects.
I think let me go to the monitoring section for a minute.
It's page
13.
13, page 12 of 18, section C.
Well, once a year.
Still only requires
The
solid
entire
waste to
landfill
be
cabin
twice.
access roads shall be blocked.
Solid waste wasn't twice.
Preparations on the inspection report. Permitting owners and operators.
See, and this is the crazy thing, just to give you a heads up on this stuff. So they've issued this permit, which is not a superseding permit on the permit that we already have to operate and be up there. So we have our own permit to be up there.
Right.
37 is an overlap, so you can't write it twice. 35 is an overlap, so because they overlapped twice I don't think that supersedes stuff, personal feeling. So do we open up our contract with Patrick's, I know once we open up, it's gonna be open for negotiation, everything on the contract. So do we mess with Patrick, or do we tell them, just clean your stuff inside the fence, and we clean stuff outside the fence? And leave it at that, we just signed a contract for 3 years with him.
I think that that's probably not a bad idea, and here's why. If they're going out there quarterly, right, and they're only responsible for, I didn't break the whole landfill, but this section. They see a problem in there, they contact their people are supposed to take care of it expeditiously.
Correct.
A hurricane rolls through, they're out the next week, and down by the leachate tank, you know, soil's rubbed off and you can see the liner. They're gonna report it. Okay. But it's not their responsibility to take care of it. I don't think, based on your contract, the town's contract with them.
Right,
That's where you need the contract, not the permit.
right, that's what I'm getting at, is,
But the good news is if they're doing the inspection, they do notice it and tell it to you rather than, you know, we us going out December 1st and it happened in
so
August.
you think which part's a good idea?
Well, I was thinking maybe split it up, but
Well, here's my other question too. So my understanding, so with Patrick, he's supposed to mow twice a year.
Yeah.
And with the state, are we supposed to mow twice a year, that we have him do it?
I think the regs are actually, what they've called here is once a year is the minimum.
Okay, because my thing is the solar, they're only required to do it once too.
Right, that's
So
the,
we'd be doing it twice on the outside, they'd be doing it once on the inside.
which is, that's fine on that doesn't bother me. That this is quoted, basically, what they come up with were, for their best plans or the BMPs on this stuff, is what's in the regulations. So they're requiring them all down. And basically, they want it mowed down, because they don't want trees setting roots in that
Right.
and disturbing your.
Well, I just don't want it to be that, so then we're required to do it a second time on the inside. You know, we just have an extra requirement on Patrick to do it twice.
Right, but Patrick stops at the fence line. That was part of the new
Right.
agreement we just signed with them.
Well, what if they're weed whacking the fence and they weed whack both sides of the fence?
that's good.
Because, I mean, we already have plenty of issues with getting Patrick to weed whack. They haven't gone back to weed whack their side of the fence, you know?
Oh, I'm not looking at going up and telling them to not do
Oh,
anything
right,
they're already
yeah.
doing, but I'm just looking at, like I said, when a user contract is set up between the town and a utility, and it wasn't our contract. We granted access to use that facility. DEP permitted access, and then they provided this as part of the permit. Okay? Even though a bunch of this stuff overlaps a contract we already have in existence, it doesn't supersede the permit we already have, because we already have a permit out there for the use of that area from the state. So you start looking at these things going, well, they just issued this, and nobody double checked anything before they went and put it out there. And then for Charlie to show up and say, you should do this, I have a hard time with the state giving us financial advice when they don't operate in the same fashion. It's not their money, it's not their job, it's their job to regulate and to say, you need to get this done. Not to give us, because I could go to the other side and say, where's his financial background or his fiscal background? Does he know anything about taxation or anything else? How we're gonna raise or appropriate this money? How we're getting it here? I know he hears it from us all the time, but I don't know. I'm trying to be polite.
Well, their biggest concern, not just this year, but over the years, the one thing that they've talked about regarding the condition of the closed landfill post-closure is those downshoots with the riprap
Yeah.
and getting them weed whacked and getting the brush out of them. And if we tell the solar people, look, you're only responsible for what's inside the fence, well, their water is supposed to run off and go down those downshoots. And if the downshoots aren't working or they're clogged up, you know, I don't think you want to get them out of that.
Well, here's my question. So right now, those solar people are mowing the whole thing.
Inside.
Well, on here, if you read this permit, it's the whole thing.
Well, it says, yeah, the permit says they should be, but right now they're doing the inside.
Right, Patrick's
I think it was an eye-opener to them too, that it was really the whole thing.
Ooh,
It was
yeah.
like, oh, okay, well,
At that point, if they're going once a year and Patrick's going twice, then it's definitely something that we can renegotiate with Patrick
Right.
and put him down at once a year.
If there are,
But that's value added on our side. That contract.
Right.
yes,
And
I
obviously
think
it
the
doesn't
thing to
look
do
like
is to look at the if there's a separate contract between the solar company and the town, and what it says. If it just says they're gonna take care of, be responsible for all permitting conditions, okay, then they should make them mow once a year, make them record once a year. And then, well, Patrick, we want you to mow in the spring or the fall, whenever these guys done. And we want, credit. And they'll say, oh, gas prices.
I know what the negotiation was.
But that's, that's something to be negotiated.
But isn't it being sold to NRG? So if it's going to be sold to them,
Well, you may have a chance to, but it involves talking to the other people who are gonna be working it out. Maybe there's a chance, or maybe they're just buying the contract as is. I don't know. I haven't seen the contract.
I would think that anytime you sell, it gets sold, that the contract should be renegotiated, no?
How many of these are, it's not just one, they're buying like that.
Right. I mean, my impression was that the next person, that they are developers. So they
Right.
develop it and then they sell it and someone else is gonna come in. They'll always be
Right.
the MO or CO or something. Like they'll always be the one that everything will fall back on, but they kind of like their hands in the air.
There should be then, can't we put in there that if it is sold or transferred, that, not renegotiations, but there are stipulations that should be addressed?
I think it's already in there.
Oh,
It's not a non-transferable, it's a transferable.
They all transfer, I think.
Yeah. The whole thing
I
transfers
think
over.
what they would be negotiating is profit and money on their end. I don't think that stuff is gonna change.
Back to state of.
No, that's not good.
Yeah. So they'd just be negotiating based on what they're stuck with. What's it worth them to buy it off of them?
and we don't have an agreement between us and Bogo,
Qualify us. Who's the us?
Town of Warren.
Town of Warren, yes.
Not Board of Health.
Not Board of Health.
Town of Warren, not Board of Health. Can we get a copy of that?
I think we have a copy somewhere, and if we don't, we can definitely get one from the planning department.
Okay, then we should review that. Okay. Can you put a request in to get that?
Yeah, I'll do some digging, I may have it somewhere.
Don't look at Lily up from
I've never
Jersey.
seen it personally, so I don't know.
If they see a pitch like one will pull up, they better start shaking.
All right, anything else on DEP?
Not really. The poll guy, which we're gonna talk about
Yeah, we got
next.
that.
The guy wire?
Yeah, the only other, I mean, they have some concern about their, road. It already looks like it needs to be stabilized.
The road going up.
They're going up beyond the fence, right once you get past the fence, on the side, it's kind of eroding, and then there's some stretch cracks along it, so we're kind of concerned about that, but that was pretty much it for, and then the report's being filed with the third party.
Can I get a better idea on this guy wire location and what the major malfunction is with that?
Did you look at your email?
Quickly, I just want to make sure.
They're looking to
It's so
change the
tiny
location.
printed, so.
The what?
Did you send this along to Scott or no?
I forwarded it to
Oh, you did, good.
I didn't look, because I'm gonna look over his shoulder, sorry.
Oh,
Yeah,
it was
go back
just so
to the
tiny
after that.
printed, but I can pull it up on the computer if y'all wanna see it
You
bigger.
only wanna look at this.
Right, don't even bother with a big map.
So,
This dash line is like our limit of
Yeah, this is well.
liner, right?
yes.
Is this
There's
the guy
only
wire?
three guidelines down there.
That's the guy where we already okayed once, I
We
think.
went out there and talked to this guy in the
They
field.
just never moved it, I think.
Oh.
Can you review that whenever they do their inspection? You take a look at the map and then you take a look on the site and just verify it before we give an okay. That's why I haven't wanted it sent to you, so you can at least take a look at it and show you guys.
Did you get the email?
Yeah.
You did, okay.
There's one guy wire that has got so much slack in it, I'm not sure what it's going. But
It's
That'll keep the pole from hitting the ground.
Gotcha.
It's there for
Oh.
mechanical sway.
This is that email, Energy, they
Yes.
wanna meet to do the quarterly third-party inspections. I'm just looking everywhere on the order. You have it.
Yeah, it's right there, you gave it to me. I was coming back.
You are. You all set with that?
I'm good, yeah.
Okay.
So let's deal with NRG after we get through with the town meeting stuff, invite them in for, we gotta get through all this other permitting stuff that we're working on here. I don't know, end of October, beginning of November, in the month, we'll have a better clue what we're gonna do. Make sense?
We'll set a meeting for end of October, beginning of November.
Yeah.
How many Thursdays do you need? Oh. Second, fourth?
Yeah. But this first week, I think is the first time it's gonna be set for, we're gonna take care of town meeting business probably, and Fraser stuff. All right, anything else on this? Oh, no.
Anything else you need from me on Fraser?
Currently, no. Let me reach out to him and then go sit and see what his pleasure is in there, whether he wants to go easement. You've talked about being amenable to a sale.
It seemed amenable to a sale, yeah.
Yeah, so, and I've already sat with Dawn briefly, so she's aware that what's on the horizon. So, let me go see what they're coming up with. I don't know how he wants to do it, if he's just gonna pick a number, if he wants a fair market analysis of, you know, because it's not your normal piece of property, it's actually got a liability sitting on it.
Right.
Yeah, right. You know,
And how many square feet? Is it a quarter an acre?
looks like 3/4 of an acre.
It's about 3/4.
A little bit over.
$5,000.
Company is feeling happy, maybe he wants a different choice.
There you go.
What's, can somebody just write down the current code for the gate? So I can make sure I can get in?
Right down.
Yes.
Thank you.
Did you forget?
I wanna make sure,
Oh, I didn't tell you about that.
I
So
think
we all
I
showed
told
up
Ken.
for the big meeting and I undo the gate and I go to push the side one side and the
Oh,
other side
I
goes
heard.
flying back and forth.
I'm sorry I missed that.
So sorry.
yeah. That's not the number I remember.
Had you met Charlie before?
I
No.
changed it to
That's
11.
awesome.
Yeah.
What a first impression.
Make sure I
I
notify
remember the one that started with the one. I remember the one that started with
I
4.
didn't expect it to go up the hill that fast.
Oh, you can't find it in
Sing
the
it.
open. So I recently had to change it again. Because the gate was literally like wide open.
I could just imagine well, I'm going there now, like getting a call from the guys next Tuesday when they go out to
Yep.
sample and saying,
I can't get
doesn't work again every time.
All right, payroll. Or
We good?
minutes, either or. You're good? Good. Abstain for minutes? Oh, that'd make it why, huh?
Did you read your minutes?
While you're here.
If you want. Contact info, either email or phone number or both. So I'm not calling about that.
It's only until mid-November.
So you playoffs
That covers,
Both.
that covers mid-November.
at the same time.
Yeah, you noticed that. I've already seen that schedule. Nice.
I'm just guessing.
The way both teams are going right now, probably.
Good. Must be coach.
Yeah, we won last night. We had a couple of disappointing losses, so. I think think we've righted our ship over on WPI, which is good. I'm set with the minutes, whatever you are.
Thank you. Wish me luck. Good luck.
What's that up?
Walking around in that takes.
Oh, collect them.
I haven't found any of my
Yeah,
dog lately, I
study
think
something.
they're dying off. It's been all of a
They're
sudden.
early on it, there was a lot.
Real,
There's
yeah.
a lot early on.
Yes.
Damn.
Yeah. Put them on the ground at least.
I don't know.
All right, well,
Spray your boots in your legs. It'll be
I
good.
hope to see y'all in late October when the leaves are changing. It's beautiful. Warm.
Nice, that'd be great. Get back some stuff next week and
Yes.
work on this thing here.
Oh,
Good to
yeah.
go. Thanks, man.
Thanks,
I
Scott.
got now.
You
Good
can
to see
have
you all.
those.
I did that one, it's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
See you, brother.
The email's easier.
Yeah, the email, you can actually.
It'll open up
you
there,
can
so I
op- You can download and actually blow it up for your meeting. Later, man.
We'll accept the minutes.
Seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Payroll? Payroll, bills? Motion on payroll? Motion to pay the payroll as written.
Second motion?
Motion made and seconded, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Bills. Motion to pay the bills as written.
Second motion?
Motion made and seconded, any discussion on those? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
On table, all regulations, all regulations.
Something you'd like to talk about those right now, I would like to. Are you just talking about colors or well regulations right now?
All regulations. Isn't there a state guidelines? Or do we, do each town follow their own?
You have to adopt your own. There is a regulation, there are stuff out there, we're looking to update them. We actually have some somewhere, don't we?
Well, we have a start, there's certain language.
That we add. So we're looking to update, when we talked about this, we're not looking to update this year regulations. Yeah, just having a little.
Give me a copy of this today. These are highlighted sections and ones that are the types of wording that we need to have on there, to meet state guidelines. They're not regulations, definitely just guidelines.
I just don't want to have where paper trucks and all trash away, you know? We gotta make sure he's not just gonna dump it up on Coy Hill. I mean,
No, we have regs in our stuff, and there's new guidelines, there's other guidelines in there, that once we get those into our regulations, will qualify us for a few other things, recycling grants and some other stuff.
Stronger language. Yeah, as well,
So.
grants.
Republic, we got to do that or no? Okay. If it's not,
I'm not getting callbacks from Bill.
of course not, 'cause now we're busting
And I'm
chops.
also not getting, response from Madeline on most of the past emails, so I don't know whether they have been paid. So I haven't called Bill about getting everything on one invoice, no fees.
This is on track.
Town building, yes. Going back, beginning
why we're
So, yeah.
reviewing what we have for dumpsters and what we have for
Looking forward to
service.
going out to bid, yes. Very frustrating.
Do they know that we're all about it?
Yeah, all the way.
Yeah, I think they've got that.
Yeah.
The
The wrath of Rachel.
Rachel.
It's been really nice so far, but I'm starting to lose it.
All right.
So we really have nothing new on that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk about our old business. New, correction order?
Yes, this is an old order that was issued, that completed satisfactorily, things, and then there's one thing that I'm giving them more time on, because the doors need to be ordered. So this is just kind of updated draft to give people owner of the property. I have a file here.
So should we stand in granting extension?
First
Nine.
screen.
Just read that.
Yeah. The date she was there, the contractor was there, but I didn't for it, everything, so, you know, it's,
Cool.
no. I gotta do that stuff.
Do that. Order that. Issue that. Sign it.
We're tabling, water banks for now, right?
Yeah, we still have a lot of work.
We do, yeah. Oh, there's a mouse in it.
Yes, it's done. Sign this.
Yeah, sure.
Motion to issue this order. Motion made a second, discussion. All in favor? Aye. Put over and sign. Dotted line. So is there any more actually talk about since we're going that or? Okay.
I was hoping that information. Yeah, I mean, it's looking like we're going to get together for the, first second. This, and then,
I don't know if we're gonna fix that.
reach out to Ben Made.
Understand?
Yeah.
Got that, so if we get an answer, we can send tentative date. Cool with that.
Timeline over.
Is the same property, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
It's fine, they bought it. We're fine.
and I guess it's actually gonna not be a junkyard anymore, they're car, co-park. It's gonna now use storage or auction cars, they're all sellable cars right now. So it's, from what I'm told,
We're at the top of the hill, we're
Fusion's place right now. Copar's got part, Fusion's got part, Copar's buying the other part. I have to make sure we send it back to them, so. I did read. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All in favor? Aye.
Twenty-first?
We're not acting on this, it's just.
You just send
Yeah, I'll
a
send
memo
her a
back to
memo.
her and said that we don't have any, you can float the state, say we have no concerns, you know, which, we let them listen to that. It's a site plan.
You just did that. It was two separate things for the same, like, there's two lots. And we needed a,
Oh,
it was the same,
okay, that's the same,
Yeah.
same correspondence,
same
okay.
correspondence.
I am not interested, anybody interested in this regional?
Yeah, that's.
Interested?
Oh, I'm not feeling good.
Half a popsicle.
Right. So that was it. Did you guys have anything else?
No. You're looking for it.
359 Main Street.
No.
Think we're in court on that one?
We went to court and it has been turned over to the AG's office. So it's in their hands now. We will be assisting them with it, but it is officially in their hands.
Why does it take this long a time to get
Oh,
something done?
it's still gonna be probably another
It's
year.
gonna be, yeah.
1002 Southbridge Street. The receiver was appointed months ago.
Yeah.
We started that process a year
This is-
ago.
This is due process.
It's
This
still
is
nothing's
like-
been done with the property.
When I came to see you 3 or 4 years ago and explained how, once the process starts, it's a long period.
I didn't realize years.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
especially if they contest or don't answer. If they answer and is correct, it can be done in as quick as 90 days.
And now we're trying to find them
Yes.
so we can notify them.
So,
Because we don't want any legal hangups.
agreed, but that's due process. That all you have?
That covers a multitude of sins, does it not? Due process.
Yeah, yes, yes. Mr. Burley, you have something?
Yes, I'd like to speak under the second to the last of the new other business complaints. It is my understanding that this board might have received a complaint yesterday for the gravel pit for Lewis Visual Burnfield Road.
Mhm.
Oh, okay, so that is correct, okay.
Yeah, we got a call from DEP.
Oh, okay, okay. So the reason why I'm here is Robert and Charlene Farris have both had surgery and have handicap and walking problems. So there was a planning board meeting that was on Monday, the 18th at 2 p.m. for gravel site inspections. So, so the Farrises weren't able to make it to this meeting. So I explained to Mr. Ramsey, and I videotaped that I would be representing them, and then what I wanted the board to do is when they got to the Brimfield Road site, is Charlene and Bob Farris wanted to go in with them to the inspection to discuss and have them document the cars that were being shot up in the gravel pit and so forth. So what I would like to explain, so are you going out at some point in time to do any type of inspection or look at this or anything like that? Is
Our
that?
health inspector is going out today.
Oh, it's going on today?
She is, yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't think it was being done that quick, so, okay.
Yeah.
So what I would, so I wanna just give the board an opportunity, so these documents that I have, so what I discussed with the planning board was this was the time when they go out and do annual gravel pit inspections where they either renew a gravel pit permit, or if there's a violation, then they won't renew the permit and then have the issue addressed. So what I brought to Mr. Ramsey's attention as the chairman is he knew several years going backwards that the police were using it for a gun range. The other board members were not even aware that it was a shooting range. So anyhow, so I videotaped that, and the questions were, could Charlene Farris wanted to show all types of violations of anything of hazardous materials, shooting of large caliber weapons, and anything that might pertain to the planning board, maybe to the Board of Health or whatever. So I'm gonna give you this set of pictures, and this will help you understand what's in there. So the first thing that was, so what it is what I have discovered, according to Mr. Ramsey, is the gravel pit is owned by the husband and Lois Vigil, according to the assessor's record. The husband has passed away. Lois Vigil is the survivor. In the Town of Warren assessor's database, someone at some point in time magically added this thing called Vigil Family Trust. I researched it, Charlene Farris researched it, there is no legal Vigil trust that ever exists. But on the on the video that I have on that laptop, which I can show you, is Bill Ramsey defended John Vigil and says that he's the caretaker, he can do whatever he wants, if he wants a shooting range, a gun range, automatic weapons, but he admitted that it's all being done within the gravel permit. And I said, my concern was, I says, we have pictures that police officers are shooting large caliber rifles and handguns with thousands of bullet holes through cars that have radiators in them, gas tanks in them, oil in them, and they're shooting through the cars, the engines, and everything else. And then I also asked him on camera, when you did the inspection the last time, did you ever look at the cars to see if they were leaking fluid? And his concern was, this is a gravel pit inspection, gravel has to do with dirt, we don't give a crap about anything else, we would just want to deal with the dirt. And I found that sort of unacceptable, because if you know something's leaking, then it should be a concern within that permit, which he did say that, because he says, well, we're here to find out if there's any violations. So during this videotape conversation, and it is a public agenda item, and I asked him, could we follow along with the inspection on that property to Lois Vigil? And he immediately defended John Vigil and said, oh, absolutely not, you'll be arrested for trespassing, only we're allowed to go on there, but you're welcome to come and video, and you can stand at the end of the driveway. So the pictures that I will turn over to the board, this is Sean Moran's Facebook page with an automatic weapon with a clip that holds between 50 and 100 rounds, has been there dozens of times, and that picture was taken by himself. This is another picture of the gravel pit, of the gravel where they're shooting. This is another picture inside the gravel pit. There's also a camper that's been shot up for the past several years. The shooting's been going on since 2013, and there's been different varieties of cars in there since 2013. The sandbank that they've been shooting at, a piece of plywood, another piece of plywood. There are thousands and thousands of shell casings all over the ground that have just been left there that could contaminate the soil. This is a picture of one of the cars that was just dated 8/19/17 with hundreds of bullet holes in it. And you can see by some of the holes, they're 2 inches around. So they're obviously not shooting small ammunition with that. Is another car. This picture was taken 8/19/17. You can see the car's all shot up as well. Another view, here's the camper that they've been shooting at since 5 or 6 years ago. There's the cars over there. This is the road coming in there. 2 cars together with, again, multiple bullet holes through the windshields, cars, seats, engine blocks, etc. These are pictures of the chief of police there, with other people there that are not.
Can I ask a question
Yes,
before I go too
sure.
far?
Yeah.
When you stuff that's posted, you taking them offline?
Say that again.
Was this in a public forum? Was it taken offline?
No.
So where were the pictures obtained? How were they-
These pictures have been taken by Bob and Charlene Farris, the family, and they're in butter to the Lois Vigil property.
Okay, so it was on their property that was taken?
Yes, these were taken on their property, correct?
On the Ferris' property?
Yes, absolutely correct, yeah. And at the same time, the parcel on the other side is the Warren Water District where the pumping well is. So that's what prompted this concern. Charlene and Bob Farris have called the police department 10 to 15 times to report the shooting. And the police obviously know that they're shooting at cars with hazardous materials in it, there's no doubt about that. Again, picture of the chief again. Picture of Officer Millette driving the Humvee. Picture of the chief again. This is a Facebook message that started, and you can keep all this as evidence, from 1/26/2014 of her husband Bob Farris talking to John Fidgel. Does your family own the sand pit? Yes. Do you know that somebody's shooting there? And he says, yes, it's the Warren PD. It's scaring and shooting my children. And he invites that the children should go there and watch how to shoot guns. And then on May 20, 2017, again, that the shooting is affecting the Farris family because they both have neurological disorders. And then Bob Farris again. And then John Fidgel's response was, okay, the way I see it is it's my land, it's perfectly legal what we're doing. In fact, the police are using the land for practice, so if you don't like it, you can buy my land and do whatever you want with it. Until then, quit bothering me. I forgot to print you the assessor's records, but I can get you a copy of those that show each of the land lots and everything else. So I'd just like to show you a video quickly.
We can skip the video, because you don't have free reign here.
Okay.
All right, so there's two statements that you've made so far that you need to confirm or
Okay.
figure out.
Yes.
You're telling us that there were vehicles out there with hazardous material on them.
Right.
You know this for a fact.
Well, that was what the purpose. So what happened?
No, that's a yes or a no. You know this for a fact.
Well, that was the
Or are we
reason.
supposing this?
That was the reason why I did the video with the planning board first, and asked them, and they agreed that they would inspect the vehicles and check to see if they had fluids leaking from them.
And did they find there was fluids leaking from them?
They never got back to me. I never got an answer.
Okay.
And
So-
I don't even know.
So you've made two statements that you don't in fact know are fact. Correct. I need you to, you're asking me very direct things and you want to present information.
Right.
Right now, we know that people are shooting in a gravel bank.
Right, correct, yes.
Right.
Right, because this is in a gravel pit, correct. That has a permit for a gravel pit, but there's no permit or any permission from anything from the town that is a shooting range.
As best I know, I don't think you need a permit for a shooting range.
Well, according to the planning board, you do, yes, because I already asked.
You
And
can
this
ask,
is not-
you
and
can
this
ask
is-
in the planning board all you want for the shooting range portion of it, if it's a shooting range. If people gather and use it to shoot at times, as long as they're over 500 feet from any dwelling, you can shoot if it's private property. You should check that out in the firearms regulations in the state. I know that for fact.
Right.
I know this because I also go, never to this one,
Right,
but I also go to shooting ranges that are on private property.
Oh, no,
And they're not,
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
so when I ask you this question, I need you to answer me directly. Do you know that there was actually material being leaked out there, or are you supposing that there was material? Because if John provided the material, it very well could have been drained vehicles, because he already does a junkyard, they already get drained.
Right.
Well, that's the question I'm asking you. So do you know there was material being leaking, or are you guessing that there's material being leaking?
It was asked during this public hearing on this agenda item.
Mhm.
It was the responsibility that I filmed on camera that they said that they would check for leaking fluids. And if there were leaking fluids, they would then contact additional boards and write up a report and not renew the gravel permit.
Okay. Was the
But
gravel permit renewed?
I have no idea. As far as
Your complaint?
The only call that I got was from Mass DEP. Somebody called Mass DEP and filed a report. That's why we're down, we're out there today.
File a report, they want to take a look at it?
Yes,
right,
that-
So,
right,
for
right.
possible release of oils.
Correct, exactly.
So that's what
So I
Donna's
guess the
requesting.
question is what I'm understanding from her is they want you to see if the vehicles are leaking, or somebody to do that, because because it went.
What I want to get across to you,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
you were very specifically here to see us and get answers from
Right.
us, and you were going to use our answers very specifically on your video. What I need you to say, or not, no, it's not say, don't suppose that stuff is being leaked or not leaked because
Mhm.
there's a vehicle out there,
Right,
because you have no idea. So say,
right.
there's a possibility that they're being leaked out there.
Right.
But what you've come in and you've made misstatements so far, two of them. And I'm just you understand where I'm coming from on this. You're
Correct.
very particular on how you phrase your questions and
Right,
the
yeah.
answers you want back from us.
Yeah.
So our agent is going to take a look at that today.
Yes.
And we're cool to put this into the file,
Correct.
still not a problem.
No, I appreciate that, yeah.
Right, we know we don't have a hearing on this, we're just
Right.
looking into this,
Right, correct, yeah.
okay? Which is still all good with us. But on both sides, don't make up information that's not there, and so you know that it's there,
Okay,
okay?
okay.
We very much deal
So-
with facts
so-
when we're doing.
Yeah,
when we're
so,
doing
so
what
I'll
we're-
rephrase this. I don't know what, okay, I'll rephrase this. So I don't know if anything's leaking. But they were supposed to find out if anything was leaking, and they didn't. Because it is my understanding that they didn't, I was there at the driveway videotaping,
Okay,
and it appears that the planning board did not even go in the property. There was, and then what happened is on the agenda, they were supposed to come back to the Shepherd Building here to have a follow-up to discussing this, and Mr. Fidgel, John Fidgel, had a blowout and a shouting match with Derek Valise, saying that he trespassed on his property, even though he was part of the inspection process as an official town member. And Derek Valise was over around near looking at the vehicles apparently, and John Fidgel didn't like that, and then started shouting obscenities and blah, 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 blah. So it appears that there was someone who was trying to find that answer, but John Fidgel stopped it because he doesn't want people getting close to it. And I also warned the planning board, because some of these pictures were taken back in August, and some were taken from 3 days ago, and I warned the planning board, as he says, I'm telling you now before you leave, if you go to that facility and those cars are missing, then obviously the cars were taken on purpose to be hidden to show that they weren't a hazardous condition. But it turns out the vehicles were still there, he was not tipped off, and they were still there. So, and then, so the DEP's, because I also talked to the DEP as well, the DEP has a concern because it is not a shooting range, there is no permit for it, and there are cars that are being shot at, there's a camper that's being shot at, and this stuff is being dumped there. So the question is to look for any type of hazardous materials, and is anything leaking into the ground. If anything has leaked into the ground, then there should be some type of cease and desist order for the gravel permit, and then any type of whose ever responsibility is, whether it's your board or the planning board, to then have Mr. Fidgel do any type of cleanup and then remove all the stuff, because even according to other town officials, this stuff should not even be in the gravel pit, because it's not items that are under the operation of the gravel permit. So in other, just explaining in simple terms. So in other words, he was given a gravel permit, but now he's doing an extracurricular activity in the gravel permit that is not in the permit to begin with. And that's what we're saying. And the other thing too is that we were able to find is the only thing that there's a shooting range in there, and that's what John Fidgel in his own thinks is it's a shooting range. There is no permit for a shooting range from any agency in this town, and it was only John that verbally gave Warren Police, you can go there whenever you want and have a shooting range. But obviously, at this point in time, we have the Warren Police shooting there. The Charlene Farrises have also taken their own video. There's private people coming in. There's police officers from other departments coming in. And then Charlene Farris would have absolutely no problem meeting with this board to show you additional pictures where she has bullet casings in her backyard. There are bullet casings in their trees, which means that they're actually shooting in the direction of her house. The bullet casings that she found that are on her property obviously means that they're standing on her hill and shooting long range to shoot at the cars. So that has been addressed as well, and that was addressed with Mr. Ramsey, who didn't care, because he says, well, I only care about sand and I don't care about bullets and trees in your yard, which is obviously not an incorrect statement, but somebody's responsible for why are there bullets in her trees. That means that they're shooting either at the sand and the bullets are going over, or they're just shooting in the direction of her house. So she has complained to the police department, and all the police department that ever complains to her, saying, that's our shooting range, go complain to the police. But, and the other side of the coin is,
once somebody calls it a shooting range or thinks it's a shooting range, there's a difference in casually shooting at somebody's property and having a licensed shooting range. There are regulations for a licensed shooting range. You know the difference, yes?
I would guess so, but right, this is
Okay.
not a licensed shooting range, because according to any department, it has no license at all. It was just John Fidgel, verbal permission, you know, and the other thing that, you know, I don't have a definitive answer on is I was able to get John Fidgel's criminal records, and some of the charges were dismissed, and it says in there on some of those records that he allowed the Warren police to have a shooting range on his property. Maybe that's relevant, maybe it's not, I don't know. But to me, it sounds suspicious. If you were arrested several times for crimes, went to court and were found guilty, and then the charges were dismissed because the police chief dismissed the charges, that seems to me that it's a handoff saying, well, maybe I'll dismiss your charges if you give me a free shooting range or whatever. I don't know. That's just speculation, but I have the records to prove it, and maybe that's what happened. Maybe it's not what happened. I don't know. But obviously, there's some type of connection where if he's been arrested several times, why is the Warren police shooting range on somebody who's been arrested?
We're gonna
several
go with
times?
this.
Right.
We have a complaint from DEP to check this out.
Correct, right.
Okay.
And I'm just saying that just as
Yep.
a theory that how this is all
Well,
happening. And the
well,
Farrises couldn't come here today, but the Farrises would be interested, they can just make a phone call to be put on the next agenda,
Mhm.
and they certainly want to come here and explain, because I'm only their spokesperson for today, but they would like to come here and explain additional stuff. You know, they'll bring the bullets and everything else and explain all the harassment. They even have a sound meter that they're shooting automatic weapons of 100, 200, 300 rounds at a time, continuous with a noise exceeds 100 and something decibels. So, but I'm not gonna get into that because they have that evidence, and they would certainly be welcome to come here and present that to you if it
And-
pertains
and
to you.
That's up to them to do that.
Correct, yes. So yeah,
Okay.
so I'll have them contact you, yes.
If you'd like to leave pictures that were
Yes.
legally taken,
Yes, so this is all yours.
yep, that's fine.
So that's a set
Our
for you.
agent's looking at it, and when she's done with whatever she's looking at, we will have a report from her.
Yeah, okay.
And then from there, we'll know whether we have something else to deal with over
Yeah,
there.
okay. And then, the only other thing I have to close on this is, would you be interested in watching a video quickly? It's about a minute long.
No, I'm not.
Okay. All right, I'll.
You guys entertained in the video?
No.
Okay. All right, so I'll just explain what the video is about. So obviously, it's a public hearing agenda, so from 4:30 to 5, Lois Fidgel, Brimfield Road. We got permission from the planning board that we would be at the end of the driveway of the Fidgel property. 4:30, Mr. Fidgel shows.
This is back to the same thing we just said we're looking at, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
but I'm, what?
What the planning board has done or not done or anything
Right.
has no bearing on what we're doing.
Oh, no, I'm explaining the situation.
And
It's
I'm,
just-
and I'm explaining to you that there was a complaint, our agent's working on it, and I have, honestly, I have no concern whether they did or didn't actually make an inspection, we have our agent taking a look at it,
Right, okay.
okay? So what they did or didn't do, or what was said,
Right,
or
no,
wasn't
no, I'm
said,
not talking
what was
about that.
videotaped at a hearing or at a meeting or at an inspection, it doesn't change what we're doing, or how we're
Oh,
approaching
no, I
it.
understand, well, I'm just gonna explain it quickly.
But I don't think you're understanding, that it's not changing the fact that we're investigating, we're looking at it.
Oh, no, I understand it. No, I'm just explaining something else to you. So what ended up happening is the planning board got there, and Mr. Ramsey and the planning board gave me permission to videotape from the public roadway.
Okay?
Couldn't enter into the property, but could stand in the roadway. So what I'm here to warn you about is that Bill Ramsey didn't like me filming him having a private discussion with John Fidgel. And I said, no problem, I will stand back in the street. But I was assaulted at least 11 times by John Fidgel, chasing me with his fists around, threatening to smash my camera. His wife got in my face and was violent and made threats. And I have the whole thing audio recorded.
Back to,
So I just wanted to let you know that
you're not understanding what board you're talking to. I don't think you're even getting this. I'm not a court magistrate.
Right,
I'm
I
not
know.
a judge. I'm not a police officer or a police chief. I'm not a constable. I'm not
Right.
a sheriff.
Right.
Board of Health.
I know, I understand.
You're
But-
really not. You
Well,
are not
I'm-
even
I'm
grasping
just-
who you're talking to.
I'm just explaining that John Fidgel can be a violent person to anybody, because he also was threatening the other board members when he was there too.
Fair enough.
That's all I wanted to say.
Our agent has made arrangements to have an inspection today.
Yep.
I think she's perfectly capable of taking care of her inspections. Mr. Fidgel has never given us a hassle with any inspections we performed in and around his property or any of the properties that he owns or has interest in it.
Mm.
So I don't see that as being an issue,
Yeah,
at least not on our side.
right,
You
correct.
know, we're going there to take care of that. That makes sense?
Yes, but I just, wanted you to be aware of the situation, so that if he ends up violent, then I warned you, that's all,
Appreciate the warning.
that's all,
Okay,
that's all I have, thank you.
good. Anything else?
So-
Good, good, and good? Anything else from you guys?
No.
Next meeting date?
Do we wanna schedule one for the end of the month?
Can you guys make one the other month? We have to do something.
To do the articles? for
It's gonna be
meeting?
28th, I guess.
Wednesday?
That week.
Oh, wrong month.
28th is this.
December.
Yeah.
I actually have it in my calendar already.
Look at that, Nate's got
Oh,
one
because that would
planned.
have been our normal scheduled meeting, right? We're off a week here. Forgot about that.
Oh yeah, we are off a
We
week.
are,
So why don't we, can you,
I'm good for the 28th.
why don't we post it, and if everything comes in, we'll
Yeah.
discuss everything we have at that point. Hopefully it'll be quick and easy.
I'll be busy here on the 5th.
You're busy on the 5th.
Yeah.
Alright.
And I'll be on vacation the 12th.
What's up with that?
Yes.
And it'd be
Yes.
good because I don't know when my husband's surgery is gonna be, so.
Okay,
Yeah,
well then let's get an
so
extra one in before all
that'll
this
be
goes
great to
crazy.
do that,
And
yeah.
we can get that taken
Okay.
care of. Alright? And is everybody gonna be back for 19th or 26th October?
Sure.
Are you coming back?
I'll be back, yeah.
Yeah, you sure?
Especially Mickey Mouse.
It's been 5 years. It's been 5 years, so I'm gonna enjoy myself.
Where are you going? Florida. Oh, it should be great rates right now.
No, I wanna go to St. Martin right now.
Get up to Puerto Rico cheap.
Yeah,
How do you
right.
feel it?
Real cheap. Take a rubber raft with you, know?
And your own water purification system. Okay, so we'll set for next Thursday, 28th.
Yep.
And we'll go from there.
Hopefully we're from Scott.
Yep, that'd be good. Good, good, and good. Motion.
Second motion?
Motion made second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We're all done. All right, people. Good job. We will see everybody next week.